How is so free to make? Oh, sorry. My name is Estrella, and I was born in Mexico. And I have some question for you. How is so free to make?
The main ingredient is peppers, and we use the fresh peppers from the garden. And where you said you was from?
I'm from Mexico.
Interesting. I will ask you how you make it in Mexico.
Mm, I'm not sure because I don't like to cook so much. Yeah. Another question is, what is the best memory you have with your father at La Casita?
The best memory with my father at the casita would have to be every time I sat next to him by the stage and watched the musicians play.
Have you ever planted flowers?
Yes, we plant flowers as well.
And what kind of flowers?
Hydrangea plants, roses. Those are other plants that I like to try out as well every year. Try to plant different plants, possibly.
My name is Niara, and I have a question. You said you were talking about how you mastered a dish in your culture. So I wanted to know, what is your favorite dish that you were taught to make?
That would be it. The arroz con gandules. That's in our culture, Puerto Rican culture. That's the first thing that probably your mom would teach you to make is rice.
Has the community changing over time affected the space or the energy of the space? Because I know we were talking about how Miss Melena had said that in a park in Harlem they were playing drums, and because of the gentrification going on, they had complained and they can't really play drums in that park anymore. So does the community changing around affect anything in La Casita that over time?
Yeah, it does. It does affect. Like I mentioned to this young lady here that we had chickens before, and due to the noises that the chicken makes, I was receiving complaints, so I had to get rid of them. But as far as the music, I think people are kind of used to the music being played, and I've always have the gate open for anyone who's welcome to come in, and especially if you've never been here before, come in and listen and talk to the people.
And my last question that I have for you is there any spiritual significance for you to this space, and if so, what is it and why?
Spiritual, I would have to say yes, because a lot of the elders from this place has passed on, but you always feel their presence when you're in the garden, especially when I'm here alone and I may be gardening. I may feel someone's presence, whether it's my father, whether it's Ben Yayala, who is another elder from this garden as well. You feel their presence around.
So only while gardening, or when you listen to the music?
All of it, all of it.
Question?
I have a question. I have a few questions. You talked about your father's legacy, and how this is a space, a cultural center. It is a gardening center. It is a center for community. And so when you think about years down the road, when your daughters take on the legacy, and actually even in your conversations with your daughters, what do you think they envision this place to be, and how do they see this becoming something a little different than what your father had in mind, and also what you have in mind?
Well, it's kind of like what I see them doing now, involving more of the youth. I'm pretty much trying to maintain my father's legacy and also creating my own. So my father was big on the music. I have been a little bit more involved in gardening, a little bit more, and my girls tend to they kind of like both. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see them, take this on and see how they would take it. I think they have more ideas about younger people being more involved, being that they're young. So they want to see more younger people involved.
You talked about your mother. What was the role, or what were the roles that your mother played here at the garden?
My mom, they call her Jefa, which is the boss. She played a major role. She was also a plenera who played plena. She also knew how to make the drums as well. She was more of a chef as well. So when events were happening, she would cook. Especially the banda we have with Bronx Music Heritage Center every year in December, and she makes this big pot of soup in the back and cook it traditional with woods underneath, burning underneath the pot, and yeah.
I was reading a piece about an interview that your father did, and he described what people thought of this place as the link to Puerto Rico. And so I just kind of closed my eyes and just imagine like this place being a place where it's like a family reunion, where you might not be in Puerto Rico, but maybe there's these families that come together through that connection, and they're here. When you hear the word link today, do you see it the same way?
Yes. It's kind of like when he mentioned in the documentary, I believe you guys saw, when he said he can't be in Puerto Rico too much, taking the plane back and forth, but he created this place where it's a piece of Puerto Rico here in the Bronx. So he may not be in Puerto Rico, but he has a piece of Puerto Rico here in the Bronx with him.
And can you tell us a little bit about the most important advice that your father has given you as far as the continuation of his legacy here? And what do you think is the most important advice that you've given your daughter so far about the legacy that you are creating here as well?
Well, his last and only wish was to never let it fall. He said it in the documentary as well, Mojorejas Caed. And he wasn't particularly saying that to me. He was saying it to everyone. Because it does take a village, as they say, to maintain anything or to even raise a child. So that would be it. Don't let it fall.
And that would be the same advice you would give to your daughters? Don't let it fall?
I have to go back to sofrito because I think it's such an important part of like Puerto Rican kitchen. There's anytime I buy like a store-bought sofrito on like when it's an emergency versus like someone who's made like sofrito.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. So can you explain a little bit of how sofrito is made and how it's used?
Well, the way we make it is in a blender, and when you buy it, it's kind of like manufactured like through machines, so it's grinded more. When you put in the blender, and like when we make it, you kind of see the ingredients in the sofrito, where you can get like little chunks of it, and it kind of makes the food even more flavorful.
Thank you. We looked at two readings, one from 1990